The night he agreed to the blind date, the poor single father felt like his heart was already bruised before it could be broken again, because he was walking into that cafe with borrowed confidence, worn shoes, and a life heavy with responsibilities he never talked about. He had spent the whole day fixing engines at work, grease still clinging faintly to his hands no matter how hard he scrubbed, and all the while worrying whether his young child had eaten properly or finished homework at the neighbor's place. The cafe lights glowed softly against the dark street, promising warmth and hope, but the moment he stepped inside and saw the woman sitting alone at the corner table, quietly crying into her hands, he felt something twist painfully in his chest. He did not know yet that she was the powerful female CEO of his own company, or that this meeting would quietly change the direction of both their lives. All he knew was that the sadness on her face looked painfully familiar, like his own reflection after too many lonely nights. Before the story goes deeper, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of human connection, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel, Soul Tale, because stories like this are meant to remind us that hearts still recognize each other in the dark. He hesitated near the entrance, unsure whether to interrupt her grief or turn around and disappear back into the night, but something stronger than fear pulled him forward. This was not how blind dates were supposed to begin, yet life had never followed neat rules for him anyway. He sat across from her with awkward gentleness, his presence barely noticeable at first. The woman tried to compose herself, wiping away tears that refused to stop, and in that fragile moment she looked nothing like a successful executive. She looked tired, overwhelmed, and painfully alone. The single father felt an instinctive urge to protect, even though he had so little to give. Years of raising a child alone after loss had taught him how to sit with pain without rushing it away, how to listen without fixing, how to stay even when it hurt. As minutes passed, the quiet between them felt heavy but honest. The woman's tears came from a place deeper than a bad date or a stressful day. Her life, though filled with achievements and boardroom victories, had slowly emptied of warmth. She had spent years climbing higher, believing love could wait, believing success would eventually fill the silence. Tonight, she had finally agreed to a blind date after relentless pressure from friends, hoping for a miracle she no longer believed in. But instead of comfort, old wounds had opened. She shared, in broken emotional waves, how lonely it felt to be surrounded by people yet unseen, admired yet unloved, powerful yet fragile. She admitted that sometimes she wished someone would love her without needing her status, her money, or her strength. Those words landed like quiet thunder inside the single father's chest. What she said next broke him in a way he did not expect. She confessed that she often felt like a failure at the one thing that mattered most, being human, being able to hold someone at the end of a long day and feel safe. She spoke of going home to an empty apartment, of birthdays spent with assistants and meetings, of nights when success felt colder than poverty. The single father listened, his own pain rising silently. He thought of the nights he had held his child while bills piled up, of choosing between sleep and extra work, of missing his own dreams so his child could have one. Her pain was different from his, yet strangely similar. In that moment, wealth and status meant nothing. Two wounded souls were simply sitting across from each other, exposed and trembling in their own ways. He did not tell her about his job, his struggles, or the truth that he worked under her leadership every day without her knowing his name. He did not tell her how small he sometimes felt in a world that rewarded power and punished vulnerability. Instead, he offered something far more rare. He offered presence. He offered understanding. His eyes held no judgment, only empathy. He allowed her tears to exist without embarrassment. For the first time in a long while, the CEO felt seen not as a title, but as a woman who was tired of being strong. As the evening unfolded, something subtle began to shift. The cafe noise faded into the background as warmth slowly replaced the ache between them. The woman noticed the quiet dignity in the man across from her, the way he listened as if her pain mattered, the way he carried himself without bitterness despite his worn jacket and tired eyes. The single father, in turn, felt a spark of hope he had buried long ago, not romantic fantasy, but the simple belief that hearts could still meet honestly. He realized that sometimes broken people heal each other not by fixing, but by recognizing the truth in one another. Outside, the city lights flickered like distant stars as they eventually stood to leave. The blind date had not followed any expected path, yet it had given them both something priceless. She left that night feeling lighter, her tears finally understood, her loneliness acknowledged. He walked home with a quiet strength in his steps, knowing that even in his struggle, he still had something valuable to give to the world. Neither of them knew what tomorrow would bring, or that their lives would soon cross again in ways that would challenge their fears and beliefs, but something had undeniably changed. In the days that followed, the female CEO found herself thinking about the man from the cafe more than she expected. His kindness lingered in her mind during meetings and decisions. She began to question the walls she had built around her heart. The single father returned to his routine, fixing machines and raising his child, but with a renewed sense of worth. He no longer felt invisible. That one night had reminded him that his life, though difficult, still carried meaning. Fate, quietly working in the background, was preparing to bring them face to face again under very different circumstances. If this story touched your heart even a little, if it reminded you that kindness still matters and that everyone carries invisible pain, please take a moment now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Soul Tale so more stories like this can find their way to those who need them. Before the ending, I have one special request for you. Please comment below and tell us what part of this story moved you the most, because your words might comfort someone reading them today. In the end, this was never just a